Now, many of you were already part of the launch of AOTune at Day of Discovery. And for those of you, you want to stay tuned because I have a lot more to say. But for those of you who weren't there, watch this little clip. This will show you what AOTune is.
Well, there are so many tuning forks. You've got planetary tuning forks, organ tuning forks, DNA tuning forks, the Solfeggio tuning forks, chakra tuning forks. So many tuning forks. Some of them cross over.
Yeah.
Some are in one and also in another group.
Mm-hmm.
But there's about 37 unique tuning forks here. And I fell in love with this because it made sense. It's non-invasive. It works on frequency, and that's something that we do pretty good with the AOScanner, is frequency. They emit a frequency that helps the body become more in balance, more balanced. Now, there's a set of tuning forks called auto tuning forks, and neither one of us really knew what that meant, and we did a little research. Well, in the very beginning, tuning forks were really used for two things: to help find and locate a fracture in a bone or a broken bone, and in tuning instruments. Yep. Okay, so autophonics is what they were called in the medical field, and auto is a abbreviation for osteo, which is bone, and phonics, which is sound. So auto forks, there were 4 of them, and those 4 frequencies they used to help detect a fracture or a broken bone. And now they're just referred to as the autos. But they also are used, the main ones, for tuning on pianos as well. And so the auto forks. Then you have the planetary forks. And if you look on your screen, you see the planetary frequencies. Hans Cousteau is the German researcher that found the frequencies for the different planets and celestial bodies. And he found what their frequencies were. Now, in the beginning, that seemed odd to me, but then I started thinking about it. What controls our tides on the planet?
The moon.
The moon. And so as the moon gets closer or further away, it affects how high and how far out the tides go. So it started to make sense. Okay, so as these planets make their revolutions around the sun, as they come to us, they do affect our planet, and they, in essence, affect us. Have you found that to be the case with what you do?
Absolutely, I have.
Okay, so we know that hospitals will tell you that their craziest nights on a full moon.
I'll tell you, when I was working as a paramedic, I had always heard that as well, and I just thought it was a bunch of hocus pocus. And it is like the world just turns upside down during full moons. And you run the most bizarre calls. I don't know what happens to people, but also people with sleeping issues.
Yes.
Never affected me until a few years ago. And then I started having some sleeping issues, and I started noticing that it was around the full moon. And I'm like, I am not giving into this, but it really does affect us.
It does. And we are frequency beings.
Exactly.
And so as we interact with the frequencies around us, whether that's another individual or music or an environment, we respond differently.
Right.
Okay, so I spent the better part of 3 days trying to figure out how to bring tuning forks into the scanner. And as you can see, it's here. And it was with the help of people like Sheila and a few others that have helped us fine-tune this program. So you have all of the forks and all of their frequencies in here. So one of the things that we felt would be helpful is, okay, I can't tell you everything about the tuning forks, but if you go and you look right underneath your target, there's a button that says scan.
I love that button.
And if you scan that button, and I'm going to do it right now for me, it will scan all of those 30 plus frequencies or forks and tell me which fork my body at this moment in time would benefit from. And it's the auto, clearing, and connecting. And so that's the fork that it would recommend, and it highlights it for me. It's the frequency 32. Now, the lower frequencies require that you have to take the volume up a little higher because the frequency is so low. But let me show you what we've done to where you don't have to go out and buy all these tuning forks. And as Sheila can tell you, if you were to buy all these tuning forks, it would be close to $2,000.
Yes.
Okay? We came out with a special transducer that we had made that can handle the frequencies that we produce on the device. And it doesn't matter which device you use, whether it's a phone, a tablet, or your computer. And it hooks via Bluetooth. On the bottom of the transducer is a Cybin Cepheid power disc that's been permanently attached. So you get the benefit of the Cybin and the negative ions from there, and that's what's going through. So this is, in essence, the tuning fork. And you get a pair of these if that's something you want to work with. Now tell me how you use your tuning forks real quick.
So I do a technique called raindrop technique, which is typically using essential oils and Vitaflex, which is stirring the electrical system in the body, using the pad, tip, and nail. You're increasing the voltage in the body and releasing it. So you're sending that electrical charge just with your fingertips. Well, that can get kind of exhausting. Mm-hmm. So another practitioner started studying the TuningForks, and I went and learned with her. I started implementing the TuningForks instead of my fingertips, wondering, first my concern was not having the body contact that might affect people because it's supposed to be, really protective and safe. But I started experimenting with people and they love the TuningForks because what we're doing is we're driving that message. It's just kind of like homeopathy. It's a frequency that's giving the body a message. And so it does relax them much more. It's much more powerful and they love feeling those vibrations up their body.
So what we did is we gave you the ability in the software to replicate any one of those types of forks. And that's in your waveforms down here. You'll see sine, square, triangle, and sawtooth. Now, Sheila, you were telling me a little earlier that sawtooth, from your education, was the most effective. Is that?
That's some things that I have been reading about.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel the most relaxing to me.
Yeah.
But the way that it delivers the message, some of the reading that I had done, and it might have been Tesla, actually.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. For me, and I think you said the same thing, sine wave and triangle wave were the most soothing to my body.
Yeah.
And so depending on the individual and what you're trying to achieve, you've got those abilities to make those changes, and you can literally select those midstream. Now, the other thing about a tuning fork, a standard tuning fork, you hit it, and then it will go for maybe 30, 40 seconds, then you've got to bang it again. With the AO tune, it goes until you tell it to stop and never diminishes. Now, you can change its intensity by changing the volume, or take it up or down and make it more intense. So when I go to start, it's already set to triangle. Down below the little picture of the triangle, there's a button that says emit tone. And I click on that. That immediately sends that frequency. Now you can't hear it there, but it's coming straight through the transducer to this part right here. Sheila, go ahead and put your finger on that. You can feel that there.
Yes.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And it's at a low frequency. So I got to take the volume up a little higher, and now the intensity is a little stronger.
Yes.
Now you can place it, wherever you feel that it needs to go, and depending on who you talk to, they're going to tell you where to put it.
Yes.
And so whatever makes sense to you. So that's now working right here, and it will work until I change that. And that change that, and you'll see that it's actually showing you the waveform on the picture. So let's just hit sine right now. And you'll see how the waveform changed. And you'll also feel it change.
Yeah, much more soothing.
Yeah. And if you go to square, it's definitely a different look and a different sound.
Yeah.
And when you go to sawtooth, the same. You have the ability to change the pitch or effectively, whether you're stainless steel, aluminum, or forged, by just changing the waveform. So that is how that works, and then I can stop it at any time. I can set it to go for 2 minutes, 30 seconds, or 5 minutes automatically by just hitting the little down arrow over here where it says minutes. Always, I can just go backwards. If you see where the purple bar is, it says auto, the last one I just used, I can hit the arrow back. And when you see the different ones now, there's one in here called binaural. That's the first one that comes up. Binaural requires 2 forks, either 2 tuning forks or 2 of the transducers. These are meant to do a binaural type of effect. So the first one here on the binaural is gamma. Now the gamma you would put around the head. You can either go front and back or on the sides. And that's going to resonate 111 hertz in the center of the brain. That puts you up into gamma. So a good one for that one is when you're trying to get a lot done. You need to be really highly focused and creative. Gamma's your go-to. The other one is the Schumann. That brings us down to grounding. That gets us in balance with the earth. And so that one, again, you can either hold it out here from your ears or just in front of the ear on the body. And that's the binaural. So you'll use 2, and they're putting different frequencies in each one, and the brain resonates on the one in the middle. Okay, so that's the binaural. Now on the planetary frequencies, these were the ones that were developed by the German Hans Cousteau. In the planetary frequencies, the top 2 have nothing to do with planets. They're centering and the flower of life, which is one of the sacred geometry frequencies. The rest relate to a planet, Earth, Pluto, Mercury, etc., all the way down. And then at the very bottom, there's the Schumann frequency. These are used by different practitioners for different purposes and reasons. Mm-hmm. You've used some of the planetary all the time.
Yep.
Go back from there, you have the chakra. Now, some of the chakra frequencies are also in the planetary, okay? And so you have those. It's just a go-to if you're going to do some chakra therapies. Let's say you do a scan and your chakras are out. You can go right to here, find that chakra, and then use the appropriate tuning fork frequency, right? And then you have organs. I love the organs. When you're looking at your comprehensive and it's coming up and it's saying you got issues with the heart or your liver, your pancreas, you can go right to, there's a fork frequency for that. And now the question again is, where do we put it?
Right. In the area.
In the area. The next one is DNA and RNA. Now here is where you start to cross over that little bit of a line. These are relating to generally an amino acid or something in the body. And it could mean that if I scan it and that comes up, maybe you're deficient in that or whatever. But whatever it is, it's like you said a minute ago. It's giving you a frequency that's basically telling the body how to go back to balance.
Right. Things get out of whack. Malnutrition, there could be, some kind of infection thing. There could, when the body starts being depleted of energy, it affects us in different ways. And all we're doing with frequencies, like with everything else, is reminding that organ system or that tissue of its natural state, sending back its natural state. That's it.
That's it. Thank you. Okay, so that's the other one. Then you have spiritual insights, the pineal gland, spiritual awakenings. For those of you who do a lot of meditation, do a lot of the spiritual energy work, this is going to be a go-to for you. And the next one and the last one is the auto. These are the auto connecting, and it's just those 4 frequencies, 32, 64, 128, and 256. And it's basically the note C in 4 different octaves. Mm-hmm. And so there's so much you can learn about the TuningForks. What we wanted to do was give you a tool in your toolbox here, in your Cephy toolbox, that allows you to do more.
Yeah.
So now that you've just seen that little clip, you know what it is. We're talking about TuningForks and being able to take the magic of TuningForks and put them into the palm of your hand in the AOScan under AO Tune. When you go into your Cephy and you go down to the bottom, there's a little button that says AO Tune. And those are the frequencies for the TuningForks. Now, you see 2 TuningForks here. This one here on my right is a weighted TuningFork because of the weights on the end. This one is just a straight TuningFork. Now, the difference is, it's simple. Your TuningFork has a stem and 2 tongs. When you hit the TuningFork, the vibration of the tongs puts that frequency out in the area. On a weighted tuning fork, the weights drive that frequency down through the stem. And so this would be more used on the body, on like maybe an acupressure point or an organ, like your thyroid or your chakras. So you want to drive the frequency down the stem. This one drives the frequencies out the tongs. Those are your two tuning forks. You can spend a lot of money on tuning forks, but now you've got all of those tuning fork frequencies in the AOScan at the touch of a button. And when you go into the AO Tune, at the very top, there's a button that says Scan. And that's my lifesaver because I don't understand tuning forks like some of you out there do. But if I hit Scan, it'll scan my body and let me know which tuning fork frequency my body's calling for at this time. So once you've done the scan and it isolates the frequency, the tuning fork frequency that is best for you at that moment, that would be like picking up that particular tuning fork, hitting it, and listening to that tone. Exactly the same. Except instead of having to use a tuning fork, you're able to use your scanner and a transducer. Let me explain the transducer. The transducer, if I was to send the signal through the transducer and hold it like this, it'd be the same as using this tuning fork. It's sending the frequency into the area. If I use the transducer and I put it on my body, it'd be like using this tuning fork, driving the frequencies down the stem in. And so one device is literally both types of scanners or both type of forks, depending on how you decide to use it. Now, those of you who have already played with this, you've probably already experienced just listening to those frequencies of a fork coming right out of the speaker on your device, whether that's your speaker on a computer or on your speaker on your phone. And you're feeling the benefits of that. That's very similar to just hitting a tuning fork and just listening to it like this. The frequency is just going out. The speaker would do the same thing. But when you take and you put a transducer on the body, you're literally driving the frequency straight into the body, just like a weighted tuning fork would send it down the stem. So let's talk a little bit about transducers. You're going to say, well, I already have my wired transducers or my Bluetooth. Absolutely, they are a transducer and they're good. Well, what about if I just buy some transducers on Amazon or on some other site out there? They're great. The difference between all of these transducers is one thing. Our transducer for AO Tune and our Bluetooth and our wired transducers were made to do one thing, and that's to play specific frequencies. These transducers that you can buy elsewhere, they're great. In fact, in some ways, they're better than ours if I want to listen to music. Because they're wired and the coils in here are made to play a high fidelity music. Where our transducers are wired to deliver a very specific set of frequencies to our brain or to our body. The quality is the same. The purpose is different. Now, okay, so why would you not just use these or these instead of this? Well, it's simple. You're limited on where you can place these. They're really designed to go right here. Now, can you use them other places? Yeah, you could do things like this. It'll work. But I want you to take a look at the size of that transducer and the size of this one. The intensity, the power, and the concentration for delivering a frequency like a tuning fork frequency is going to be delivered better with this size of a transducer pad. And you place that somewhere on your body, you're going to get a better, more full reception of that frequency. So they're all good. They can all be used. One of the questions that comes up, well, can I use it at night, in the morning, during the day? When's the best time to use them? Whenever your body says. There is no right or wrong when you're using a frequency like my mind sync, like inner voice, like a scan frequency, or like an AO tune frequency. Doesn't matter if it's in the morning or in the evening. We're not stimulating an activity in your body that's going to disrupt your sleep. We're actually going to, if it's time to go to sleep, it's going to make you be able to go to sleep better and have a better quality of sleep because of that frequency that's being introduced to the body. So there is no right or wrong or time of the day or night to use your AO tune. Needless to say, we are ecstatic about your enthusiasm about AO tune. It is, in our mind, one of the neatest little additions to the scanner that we could have brought into. And from the testimonies that we've been receiving, you agree. It's one of those little niceties. It just makes the scanner a little bit better. And that's what our whole goal is, to make it better every time. The takeaway is, use your AO tuner whenever you think about it. That's your body saying it's time. Whether it's in the morning, in the evening, if it's multiple times during the day, it makes no difference. Transducer, if you're going to be working with other people, a transducer makes sense because you're able to put it on their body. The transducer, the right transducer, it's like a car. I can buy a Volkswagen that was made in the 70s. It'll get me from New York to LA, just like a brand new Mercedes. The difference is the quality of the ride. So picking the right tool for the right application, I think, is critical. But you can use what you have. You can grow into what you want as it makes sense to you. So keep those testimonies coming. Keep using AO Tune and let us know what you think. Till next time.